age of 17. I can't write this letter to my son because some things my son needs to be protected from. Many things my baby doesn't need to be burdened with. He doesn't need to know that his father was an alcoholic, had a temper, and was prone to violence. Hit me on occasion, kept me inside with his jealousy, was mad even when I went to the mailbox. Part of the reason why I'm not so big on wearing makeup, part of the reason why I often twitch when somebody tries to touch my face. I can't tell if it's to be sweet or to smack it. No, I'm not quick to talk shit because I know some men do not believe in not hitting women. But for my son, my black son, he has to know the good because I know everybody will always tell him the bad. Everybody that is, except his mother. No, I will not deny him the love of his father, the admiration he has for him. I will take that poison and consume it all to avoid killing my baby's spirit. My baby boy, this world is crazy and cruel. They look at you strangely because you have a tendency to spin around in circles. When you had those uncontrollable fits, people stared and they wondered, why don't you whip him? They couldn't understand that you see the world differently, your brain functions differently. They like to call it a deficiency. They don't understand what your mama does. These are the wars that I am fighting. They'd ask me if I want a child without autism. Do I want to cure autism? No, because my baby is not diseased. God made my baby the way he should be. Somebody had the audacity to tell me that they felt sorry for me. And oh, how that cut at my heart, I responded firmly, don't be. He's as happy, he's the sweetest child I know. I wouldn't change my baby. I love him the way he is. They don't understand what your mama does. And one day, my son came home from school to tell me that he learned that black was synonymous with ugly. I showed him a picture of black people and he said they were ugly. I asked him why. He said because they're black, because they're dark. Where do you think this stuff starts? In public education amongst the peers of a kindergarten playground, the place where hate becomes the foreground for the way my son should view himself. These are the wars that I'm fighting. Working mandatory overtime, losing sleep, running our car on empty, tank of gas, hoping that it won't stop in the middle of the street or the freeway while my baby's inside. These are the wars that I'm constantly fighting. Therapists claiming he's too aggressive, unaware of exactly where we live. My baby has to be. They don't understand that's what he needs to be in order to live. To duck down when bullets are shooting outside our window. There are times I will hold him inside our bathtub using it as a shield. But he has to learn he can't fight back at school or he'll be suspended. Damn, my baby got to learn how to be double conscious at the age of 5 years old. Scratch that. Triple conscious, dealing with the Western dominant ableist world. And it hurts me to know that my baby, like so many other black children, are about to fight a war that I can't prepare him for.
No threats to our life exist in the present, malicious to our hostilities, our minds, our hoods. We must be able to highlight the threats in our lives with a prior question. The focal point should be how a person become disposal. The rapability and killability based upon us makes violence and extermination inevitable. Mine now in terms of ways as an anti-black war, black women appear accepted who deserve to be raped and suffer the consequences in terms of black protection from the legal system, sexual abuse, and lack of financial assistance to sustain themselves and their family. He says that the black body of the disposable population, this murderous and rapist social body projects the future that define us to some others order and legitimize the same behavior that is likely to strip them of them. These same ideas inspire perverted acts of war, or the agendas of modernity through ideas of race and God come to be seen as more or less normal things to the alleged, obvious, and non-problematic character of anti-blackness, such as to our primary blacks and indigenous people, but also deeply affects all those who appear as colored or close to darkness. This system of symbolic representation, the material conditions that in part produce and continue to legitimize and nationalize a non-ethnic or death ethic war.
Now, Colonel West is cussing out black people in the U.S. different from all modern people owing to the unprecedented levels, unregulated, unrestrained violence directed at no other people have been taught systematic hate themselves like violence, reinforced by the powers of the state and civil coercion, physical violence for the primary purpose of controlling the minds, exploiting the neighbor for nearly 400 years. We must be able to affirm ourselves, name ourselves, and create ourselves in order to live in a way to avoid the pitfalls of nihilism and the risk of black annihilation. Western 93 states that the proper starting point for the crucial debate about the prospects of black America is examination of nihilism that increasingly pervades black communities. It is the lived experience of coping life with horrifying uselessness, hopelessness, and lovelessness. The frightening result is a numbing tactic from others of self-destructive disposition toward the world. The major enemy of the black survival in America has not been oppression or exploitation, but rather nihilistic threat. And for as long as hope remains, the meaning is preserved. The possibility of overcoming oppression stays alive. The self-fulfilling prophecy of nihilistic threat is that with hope there can be no future. Without that meaning, there can be no struggle. Despite the obstacles it costs, motherhood remains a symbol for hope for many, even the poorest black women. To me, having baby inside me is the only time I'm really alive. I know I can make something, do something, no matter what color my skin is, what name people call me. You see the little one grow when you get larger and start doing things, and you feel there must be some hope, some chance that things will get better, because there it is right there before your real life growing baby. The baby is a good side, at least see some side. If we didn't have that, what would be the difference from death? And they told me to use my head, but I chose to use my heart. Emotional consciousness, being able to express how we feel about our daily encounters in the base space. It is activities in need of renovation and innovation of space. This makes us able to affirm our lives from the daily calcified spaces that are perpetuated by the resolution and the people. In the route to love act that's politically transformative. Western 3 states that love act has nothing to do with sentimental feelings or tribal connections. Instead, a love act is a loving yet critical affirmation of black humanity. The painful struggle for self-fulfilling society and a history in which a knowledge threat seems insurmountable.
Our methodology creates one of the best possibilities to empower and motivate 3 individual advantages. 1, political resistance to current business as usual politics. 2, the exploitation of a love ethic is able to transcend the barriers of oppression and inspire love of self, others, and community. And 3, educational possibilities that are able to transgress the static notion of education found in resolution. It is a move away from the mode of education that teaches that we have to use all the masters to be successful. It's a move away from the mode of education that teaches the person is not political. The personal experience of black women is already political. Harris 11 states that if you ask most people what they think when they hear the word politics, they're not going to give a definition that includes border parties, election, public policy, and process of contention and representation. But formal participation in government is only one part of a more encompassing effort to be recognized within the nation. The struggle for recognition is the nexus of human identity and national identity where much of the most important work of politics occur. African American women fully embody this struggle by studying the lives of black women. We get important insight into how citizens yearn for and work toward recognition to understand black women's policies. We must explore their often unspoken experience of hurt, rejection, faith, and search for identity. That internal, psychological, emotional, personal experience of black women are intentionally political. To my unborn child. Having you is supposed to be one of my greatest joys, but you're actually my greatest fear. I'm not worried about your childbirth pain like a lot of women. I'm worried about you having two mothers who raised you to be the next Anisha McBriddle, Trayvon Martin, Oscar Grant, because my fertility has maintained slavery in a new and improved capitalist society. I don't want to help feed this society our flesh anymore. I don't want to worry about forgetting to say I love you one day and that be your last day, because that will be the day that this battle we face turn into a war that we can't escape, because I will be the next society, the next Chris Donner. I will be the USFG's biggest enemy, and I'm like bombs in my garage trying to beat the prison wires down. For once America have a target on its back, all the people hiding underground ready to take the White House down with white up, the gay members will pick up their guns for the sake of revolutionary cries and rise in the name of you, my unborn child, because you're going to be the revolutionary that changes the statistics of 49% of princes that made up of black people where they exploit our labor and sell for the highest bidder, where every 28 hours a black woman, man in China, United States is executed by a person employed protected by the U.S. government according to the year-long investigation by Michael Mass grassroots movements. We have been in a genocide since the 1600s, men to mental courses that no one wants to acknowledge it. Our flesh is a disposable population. The government puts more money to build the prison industry than they put to minorities' education. Just hoping like third grade we can't reach so they can throw us in the cell and throw away the key. And 313 black people died at the hands of police, security guard, and vigilantes. That's 313 cases that never get their day in court because their bodies look like me. And look how much the justice system did for the black community. Zimmerman is walking free. And they have the audacity to say it wasn't racist because we're in a post-racist society. The justice system stress scrutiny allows for racial disparities. Black women have been raped since the Middle Passage, and we're the only ones that have been bred against our real-life animals. And to this day, there's not one man on death row for the regular black women, but a 455 men executed for rape in the United States between 1930 and 1967. 90% were African American men supposedly raping white women. Oh, what a coincidence. Another Rosewood incident, and the statistics are still rising. We haven't gotten rid of slavery. We have only migrated from plantations to prison cells, from nooses in the trees to guns in the street. Black mothers built America on his back and maintained it through her breeding.
Janet turned 12. Definition 1 was associated frustration, rooted in black women's and other non-white women's everyday experience and everyday methods of problem solving, ending all forms of repression, restoring the balance between people and environment, nature, reconciling human life with a spiritual dimension. Women does not emphasize or privilege gender or sexism, rather it elevates all types of forms of oppression. It is anti-oppressionist, vernacular, non-ideological, communitarian, and spiritualized. In addition, not limited to an American context, being explored by both men and women in international settings such as Asia, Europe, Africa, and Latin America. The affirmation of aesthetics are the resistance to the forces of oppression. Bell Hooks 09. African Americans creating in music, dance, and poetry painting was regarded as a testimony, bearing witness to challenging racist thinking, which suggests that black folks were not fully human, were uncivilized, and the measure of this was our collective failure to create great art. White supremacist ideology insisted that black people, being more animal than human, and lack the capacity to feel, and therefore could not engage in responsibilities of bringing about art. Responding to propaganda in 1960, black folks emphasized the importance of art. It's seen as the most effective challenge to such assertions. Now, our framework is who best performs political agency in the process of creation of emotional conscious debate. Advocacy, we affirm a woman's emotional consciousness to discuss the wars affecting black mothers. What cannot be overlooked in the work emphasizing mothers' influence on the children, who black children affirm the mothers, and how important that affirmation can be in a society plagued by the sexual politics of black women. It is not my child who tells me I have no femaleness. White women must affirm. Not my child who says I have no rights. Black men must respect. It is not my child who has purged my face from history and left my story just that a mystery. My child loves my face and would have it on every page if she could. As I love my parents' faces all above others. We are together, my child and I, mother and child. Yes, but this is really whatever against whatever denies us all that we are. Walker 79. There you go. That's time. Oh, unless you got some of that, because we got 30 seconds. That's cool. Okay. We're good.
That's time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ouch. All right.
Ready? Yeah. Okay. So the framework is who best performs their political agency en route to the creation of emotional consciousness and debate?
Yes.
Okay. What is a performance? Or how will you delineate what counts or does not count as a performance, I guess?
Okay, well, we specifically talk about political agency. So Paris specifically talks about how you need to, for black women, it's essential for us to interrogate our hurt and rejection. So we're not talking about an instance of like a natural performance. We're just talking about political, how your agency plays within this realm.
So it's not
It's not shucking jiving. That's what it is.
Understandable. The latter part says it's the team that best performs on the route to emotional consciousness. How does Joe decide who has raised more emotional consciousness or who is farther on the route to emotional consciousness?
I mean, I think that will be discussed later in debates. Like, it depends on what you run. I can't tell you like how he's going to evaluate it. If you get up here and don't say anything about yourself, then that's going to be different than if you get up here and say something about yourself.
When you say something about myself, do you mean like specifically us talking about who each of us
you as a white male should say something about yourself.
Okay. How does how does the judge, though, it's still sort of the same question, but I'm just, how does he decide, if both of us discuss these things, who we are, how does he decide who's gone farther, I guess?
It's best. Like
well,
best.
You said best. You said
yes,
who best
exactly.
performs.
It's best.
How does he define, how does he decide best?
What? I don't understand. Like, either he feels as if, like, we did a better... Okay, presumptions on F, so give it to us. I don't know what you want me to say.
The presumptions on F.
I'm going to say presumptions on F.
Okay.
So give it to us. I don't understand what you want me to say.
Yeah, the wars affecting black mothers. Who counts as a black mother?
I don't understand.
Well, first of all, you don't have to be biologically to the... What a black mother is, we're talking more so about kinship, and we're talking about creating community. That's why we say the woman is aesthetic. Because
she counts as a black mother.
No, certainly. I guess more. I mean, black mothers is not simply.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not just me. It's all about kinship and community. That's black mother.
Okay. The Maldonado and
Maldonado and Torres, right?
That's not the right card.
Okay. Alright. Well, we got West.
I'm all mixed up.
We got.
Well, one of the cards says that the struggle for recognition is the key nexus for sort of national.
Don't switch that. It's not saying what you think it's saying. It's talking about how politics is not all about policy making. Like, it's about being able to find certain positions for the black woman that is not necessarily political. So it's not saying like, oh my gosh, we need recognition and bow down to us.
Right.
Do you think that there is a competitive way that Suo and I can attempt to do something positive for black mothers in this debate context?
I don't understand.
But that's
true.
Competitive. I mean, in the context, is there an argument we can make? Because we're in a competitive context.
A different methodology, but I don't know.
A different methodology. Just a few more seconds. What would constitute, I guess, a different methodology?
What do you mean? I'm not going to tell you how to do this. Like, I'm
no,
when you say it's competitive, that means that like it's going to
be. I know different forms of methodologies. I mean, pre-round, you told us how you engage into it with another affirmative on what did you say? What was it? I don't know, but I know you know this.
Fair enough.
It's not like you're going to do what we say anyway. So
18 more seconds.